Arkham is for everyone. The Mythos Busters are devoted to creating a community of inclusion that values diversity.
We recognize the unfortunate truth that not all voices in our society have equal weight, and we want to ensure that this dynamic is not replicated in our community.
To that end, we strive to include all people in our conversations and games, while also eliminating roadblocks in communication. We ask for your help and input in keeping this promise.
We have a completely open door policy to how we can be better at this. Please do not hesitate to tell us how we can improve. In love,
The Mythos Busters.
Mythos Busters, investigating the mystery, monsters, and madness of Arkham Horror, the card game.
Hello, and welcome to episode 101 of Mythos Busters. I'm Sean, and joining me tonight, back in the saddle after a rip-roaring time with episode 100, are my busters. We got the full crew tonight. So let's go in quasi-reverse order. We've got Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
I am just ready to talk about Dalmatians. That's what I'm ready for.
Dalmatians.
101 of them, to be precise.
Oh, God.
There we go.
I'm going to leave in shame now. That used to be my favorite Disney movie.
Oh.
I don't know
wait,
why.
you've seen Aladdin, right?
Oh, well, Aladdin is my actual favorite Disney movie. But I really liked the dogs. And yeah, I don't know. For some reason, the cat and the sheepdog, their dynamic just tickled me as a child. I can't really explain it. Sergeant Tibbs.
My favorite movie as a kid was Mary Poppins. So much so my parents had to rebuy the Betamax tape it was on because I watched it so many times it actually wore out.
Ooh, solid dead format reference.
Yeah, Betamax.
Yeah, we don't get enough of those on the show.
Oh my God, the actress who played Mary Poppins. Why can't I right now? Julie Andrews. Wow. Okay, there we go. We got there. Just killing it with the prim and proper British nanny. Just her whole thing. She killed it.
Yes.
She created a thing.
What is this show even right now?
We've also got Nick. Hey, Nick.
Hi.
You did not have a thing for Mary Poppins?
I have never seen it all the way through.
That's
Chimney.
Yeah,
Chim
it just
Charoo.
never, nope. It's kind of like lumped in with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Wait, what's the original one? Charlie is, right?
Charlie and
No,
Charlie.
Charlie's the new one because it's properly named after the book. Willy Wonka is the old one.
Okay,
Oh.
I lump Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Wizard of Oz. They're all kind of in that group of movies where I've seen a few of them like once each, and I'm like, that's good.
I'm finished.
Period.
That's the end. Of the story.
Return. Next paragraph of my life.
Yeah.
And of course, rounding out the crew is Ian. Hey, Ian.
Oh, hello there.
Dick Van Dyke was far too old for Mary Poppins in that movie, wasn't he? There's like at least 20 years difference.
It's been a while since I watched Mary Poppins. I was much more of, let's see, what some of my favorite movies as a kid. Labyrinth. Gotta love David Bowie. Willow for sure.
Okay, that one I like.
Those two were big hitters for me. And
Labyrinth was one of those movies. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I was gonna say, unlike Nick, though, Willy Wonka was one I watched a ton, but I was very freaked out by the Oompa Loompas as a kid.
Dude, the scene in the boat, just unnecessarily jarring. Like, what? Who and why? And that is all.
Yeah, it's something I appreciate much more as an adult, where I'm just like, respect for throwing that in a kid's movie.
Like, when I watch that now as adult, like I have so much respect for how well Gene Wilder can overact a scene.
Oh, he was
Like,
amazing in that movie. He's so good.
He commits so hard. And yeah, anyway. Wow, this is not a podcast about classic children's movies, believe it or not. Although a Mythos bonus might be in the offing. We have a great show for you guys tonight. We have got a decent amount of catch up to do since episode 100. We fucked off on all of our normal responsibilities. So we're gonna catch up on a few things. We've got some news to catch up on. God, what else? Some patron news. And then for our discussion topic tonight, we're going to be in too deep. Does anyone know the words? I don't know the words.
Said I'm going under.
There it is. There it is. We're going to be talking about In Too Deep player cards and the scenario itself. And then, of course, we'll round it out with some tentacle time. All right. So, first, though, let's start out with some announcements. First, Dissonant Voices. Our voiceover story project on YouTube and now integrated with Arkham cards for our patrons is caught up through Horror in High Gear. So the Arkham cards integration continues to move forward, and a big thanks again to North 101 and Zorba for their respective contributions to making that integration happen. It is just
slick.
I'm gonna pause for a second every time we talk about it and just talk like. Going from the YouTube videos, which are still out there for anyone who doesn't use Arkham cards, we still love you. But for anyone who does, just it's such a difference to just be able to click play.
Mm-hmm. And why aren't you using Arkham cards? I mean, that app is just
entirely fair question. That app is so unbelievably slick.
Is there a better app for a game? I don't think so.
I have yet to encounter one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the fact that it's not official and fan run and like, so slick, and the UI is always the UI, and even just the aesthetics of it are always improving. It's can't say enough good things. So go check that out if you're not a patron and would like to be. Check out Patreon/MythosBusters for options there. Big announcement. So, as we're going to talk about in a minute, we had a chance to play some more 4-player standalone that we don't do enough. We've all mutually, unanimously decided. Mm-hmm. So we're going to schedule another game. So mark your calendars. On March 28th, at a time TDB, we're going to be doing another stream of Barkham Horror.
Woo!
One flea-ridden Arkham card game. So anyway, check our social media in the coming days as we nail down a start time. But all 4 of us are going to be building doggy decks and trying to take down the meddling of Meowlathotep. Right? That's the name of the antagonist.
Yep.
Yeah. So March 28th, check it out. In addition to that, anyone who was around last year will remember that at the beginning of quarantine, we ran March to Madness, which is our inspired by March Madness bracketing system where we pit investigator against investigator in grueling to the death combat and see who comes out on top. So we're going to start with getting your help seeding the investigators this year, because we're actually taking this kind of seriously, and big thanks to Justin on the back end for really handling this like he did last year. So start thinking about what tiers you'd put investigators in to help with our seeding process. And pay attention for how that seeding process is going to work. After that, there's going to be bracket predictions and round-by-round voting, just like last year. We're going to do a kickoff stream where each of us and probably some community members that we bring on will do some predictions. And then we're going to wrap the whole thing up with a announcement stream of the winner like we did last year.
Mm-hmm. That was super fun.
Yeah, which I continue to say, like, yeah, when I agreed to it last year, I'm like, oh, all right, this will be okay. But it ended up being, like, super fun.
Well, and finding out the winner, like, live, that was great. Also, Ursula won, so I was extra happy.
Yeah, there were allegations of collusion, though no formal charges rendered.
I feel as though Ursula's going to be knocked out first round this year because people are just gonna
probably
be, just super bitter.
Just out of spite.
Yeah.
And of course, there will be prize support. So pay attention to Discord and our social media channels for more updates on that in the near future. We're going to get that kicked off probably at the very beginning of April. Let's see here. Guys, let's check in with the Arkham we've been playing lately. Although, God, okay, so sorry. We've done a lot in the past couple weeks, y'all. One last thing before we get there. If you didn't tune in live for episode 100, we missed you, first of all. Sorry you couldn't make it. After the show, we went on to our Twitch channel to stream some live trivia with MJ and Jeremy. And that ended up being a lot of fun. Scott, put our card knowledge to the grindstone. And I'm still so finding bits of my nose.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's been exported. Go check that out on our YouTube channel. It was just a good time. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the actual Arkham we've been playing. Who wants to talk about our war stream?
I think that went swimmingly compared to our last one. Mm-hmm. Amazing how better a scenario can go when you know what is happening.
I mean, we still took a lot of advice or ad hoc. I picked the right word the first time. Let's go with advice from the stream from the audience. And oh boy, that was a tight game.
Mm-hmm.
Thoroughly enjoyed. So, I played Daisy. Scott, you played
Sniper Mark.
Oh yes, of course, Sniper Mark. Ian, you took
Demolition Man Nathaniel.
Oh,
that's
yes.
right. That's right. And then Nick, you had I dare to say probably the deck that had the most tech going on for it.
Jim Clover, yeah.
That's right. Those skulls
Clover.
get nasty when you go Clover. Ugh.
But when you turn those into zeros...
Turns out it's pretty okay. So yeah, check that out on our YouTube channel, and then as well on the Great Old Ones Gaming Twitch channel, which is where we originally streamed it as part of Horrors Without Borders. And as well, if you missed Horrors Without Borders, there were a lot of really cool entrance, I guess, into that whole thing. So go check out the replays on that. Just Google search Horrors Without Borders, you'll get it. And that's horrors. No, I'm not taking responsibility if you misgoogle it.
It was a charity thing for Doctors Without Borders, so just put horrors in front of there instead of doctors. That's where that name came from. There you go.
All right. Let's see. Nick. I wanted to spend some time because Achievement Hunters finally hit a milestone this last while.
Oh, is that what the... Yeah, okay. I saw the note in the show notes, and I was like, what? What made it... What? Something made it past the gathering. Okay.
Sure wasn't
serious respect for how long you slugged it out
Holy
against
shit.
Return to the Gathering.
Yeah, so, this just in, Preston is fine, but Gloria is amazing. Single player Gloria, it literally feels like cheating. It just straight up.
If you can get early scrying, you can just write your own story.
Scrying, Scroll of Secrets, Alyssa, any of those. Literally any of those. I also had really good... I don't want to give too much away. I want people to go listen to Achievement Hunter number 12, I think it is. Episode 12.
I believe
Sounds right.
But I did have some really good draws, really lucky draws. I think my first Chaos Bag token was an Elder Sign, and I was like, oh, this is a good sign. Great. But yeah, no, it's really good. I'm really nervous about Midnight Masks. I have 4 XP to spend, but oof, that I'm just, oh man. It's probably going to be 3 rounds in the house and then resign. That's probably what it's going to be.
Boy, that's going to make for a really fun Devourer Below.
Right.
And then as well, exciting in a very different way, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday Night Arkham is back. Mm-hmm. Holy cow, it's been a while. But Scott, you and I played some Arkham.
Felt so good to take my streaming pants off again. It just...
I like how it's the opposite of how you think it would work. We wear pants most of the time, take them off to stream.
Yeah, I wear the pants to prepare, and then I leave them on the floor when the stream starts.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are playing Norman and Tommy, going through the dream side of the Dream Eaters campaign, and we are asking people to suggest who we should take through the waking side.
Mm-hmm.
But we did the dreaming side. We kind of had this idea that we want to do them like as a dynamic duo or a pair of fictional characters, and so we're kind of playing them. Oh boy, this is gonna take some explanation, but Rick and Morty. Because
loosely inspired by
old man, young guy, young kid, whatever. Going through an adventure. So it's hilarious. It's fun. It went really well. It was harrowing at some points.
It was pretty dicey in the beginning when we were playing Find the Gug.
Yeah.
Which is not nearly as dirty or fun as it sounds.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So check that out on YouTube.
Check that out on YouTube. If you have suggestions for our other dynamic duo and a fun theme, because that's really what we're looking for. Like, we could take any pair, like we normally pick them, but we're really looking for like an inspired theme. So if you have an idea, drop that in Discord for us, and then pay attention to Discord for the next Twitch stream, or follow us on Twitch would probably be the easiest way, because then you just get notified when we go live. You don't even have to pay attention. It's like we're living in the future. Ian, what y'all been playing?
Well, let's see. I guess first off, I've been trucking along with Abandoned and Alone, and I was having a little bit of my own Nick moment because I played through Doom of Esli twice already. Due to that, my luck with that scenario has been freaking ridiculous, and that has the those serpents in that scenario that come back from the victory display if you kill them. And long story short, I got swarmed like twice, 2 games in a row. So I left it up to Twitter, actually, our Twitter followers, whether I would go back in one more time or blow the temple. And it was a very close vote. I think it was like a couple of votes, 1 or 2 votes. But the blowing up the temple team won. So I'm going to be blowing that sucker. I'm going to have so much vengeance. So yeah, I'm going to be riding the rest of the campaign by the seat of my pants. But I guess that's the winny way.
You'll have like 14, I believe, right? 14 vengeance?
You get 20 from blowing up.
It's 10 from blowing it up.
Oh,
and then
10.
I can't remember how
Nick
much
blew it
I
up
had.
twice.
I wasn't content with the rubble.
Extra nuked it from orbit.
Yeah. He played Dynamite twice. Yeah.
Other than that, I have caught up all my existing campaigns to Light in the Fog, which is good. That pack finally arrived. And then the newest thing is I started a campaign with Nathaniel Cho. I had so much fun playing him more about the Outer Gods. I started a campaign. And then on the other side, I have Father Mateo, the first time I've played him in a while through a campaign, because I'm trying out a lot of the new Bless tech that's come out in this cycle.
Were you playing Nathaniel by himself? Were you playing Cholo? Oh wait, that's a word that actually means something. All right, never mind.
No, it's a Nathaniel and Mateo teamed up together, and I'm taking them through Return to Carcosa, because I had the realization the other day that I never got a clear victory against Return to Carcosa, so I'm having those two take it on, which is an interesting pairing I've never done before. I'm only 1 game in. They crushed Curtain Call, which was good, and I feel like already Mateo is stronger than I remember him being in the past. So I think some of this Bless tech is paying off, and I'm running the old Blessing of Isis, which is if you reveal 2 Bless tokens, then it counts as an Elder Sign, and of course Mateo's Elder Sign is really good. So. We'll see how it goes, but I'm glad Mateo's getting to be in a better place these days.
Mateo is my least played mystic. I feel like at the end of this cycle I'm already overdue, but I'm well overdue, beyond excusability. So I'm gonna have to give that a go. So if you've got a good deck list, slide that into my DMs.
Well, Sam,
need to come back
running
home.
him alongside Mary through Innsmouth, and yeah, he's really fun.
Okay.
Can he now be a rainbow deck? Like, can you have a card from every faction now?
Does Rogue
Every
have
class?
Blessed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
do?
they have. Oh God, I can't remember. off the top
Djinn,
of-
right?
Yeah, the Djinn, and
Oh,
there's
right.
the Priest of Two Faiths is another one.
And what about Seeker? Do they have Blessed?
Ooh.
Trying to remember.
Because those are the two that are like big curse play. So
Yeah, Seeker. I'm not sure.
I don't think
about.
Seeker has any blessed.
They might not.
I think
have any.
I think they're all curse all the time. At least in the cards that I've seen. I don't know if they've got anything forthcoming. Well, before we move into patron news, one last chance, guys. We've got a few in the queue. We've actually got one response that is going to garner some serious discussion, and I'm looking forward to getting to that. But I wanted to throw it out there. One last chance to call in to the Mythos Busters hotline. This week's prompt, which is also last week's prompt, which is the week before its prompt as well, coincidentally. Who is your pet investigator, and why do you love them? We've got some really fun responses to go through. If you want your pet investigator represented, and why wouldn't you? Please call into the Mythos Busters hotline and leave us a blurb. That's 203-493-6984. Again, 203-493-MYTH. Who is your pet investigator, and why do you love them? Let's give our investigators some love, especially, guys, especially leading into March to Madness, because next time we record, we'll be leading into it. So if you want a little bit of an edge for your investigator, not a bad way to do it.
And if you're on Facebook, you can click on Call the Mythos Busters on our Facebook page. That
I
tells
always
that
forget
number.
about that.
Yeah.
I always forget about that.
I set it up for you, and you just...
Wonderful. Ian, what patron news have we?
Alrighty, so first off, as always, big thanks to our board members. That's Chris B, Chris H, Chris M, our conglomeration of Chris's, Morton, Jared, Ian, Kyle, Philip, Dave, Abilio, Jesse, Chad, and Robert. Thank you so much, board members, for all that you do and sitting through those long board meetings. I know those go on for a while. Special shout out to a random patron this time around is to Ian D46. That's a special shout out for a fellow Ian. So I will give you the secret Ian handshake when if I ever meet you in person. Mythosmerch.com. In addition to our usual announcement that you should go there and you should send us pictures of anything that you buy from our Mythos merch store, we still want those pictures, of course, because we like seeing our swag in the wild. But the really big thing recently is that we got some new merch on there, including some amazing merch based on the Live, Laugh, Love, Place One Doom on the Current Agenda meme, which was part of our meme contest, and now has been turned into lovely swag on our mythosmerch.com. And we've actually seen some of the pictures roll in of people getting the posters, and there's a mug and...
I'm
A
fondling
blanket.
my blanket right now.
Yes, and the blanket. Yeah. So, the amazing item, such a cool design, and it's one of my favorite merch items that we've produced, I think. So, let's see, what else do we have? As a reminder, we have already smashed through a couple of our goals, which we're working hard on. We're working hard on the custom scenario, which was unlocked, so we will have more updates on that over time. We also unlocked BusterCon, but of course planning will wait until this, ye old pandemic is over. But once it is, I think we're all raring to go, and the community's raring to go to get back together once this is over and actually be in person together again. Even as a diehard introvert like I am, I just really need to be with people again. I think.
BusterCon is going to be off the chain hook.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
Everyone on that side of the continuum has a cutoff point. Like,
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. Human connection is necessary. And finally, we have a whole swath of job titles to give out. 9 job titles. We've had a lot of new people joining the Mythos Busters offices. We've been working hard to clear out space in the offices to get them situated and run their paperwork through HR. So we're going to take turns.
Yeah, we had to open up an alternate dimension for more office space. That's important.
Yeah, and the rent is not cheap there in the alternate dimension. Not at all. So we're gonna take turns running through the titles for our new office members. First up, we have Eric Elliott, who's gonna be the Essex Express Director of Transportation, making sure those trains run on time.
We also have Daniel Russell Hammond, the Yithian body image consultant, because body image is important, especially for Yithians.
And next we have Nicholas Cormier, or Cormier? I assume it's the French Cormier, the Azathoth Piper choir director. If you don't get them in order, they're going to play a lot of disordinate chords. However you say that word.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Got it. Also, we have Elias Ferrero Borreros, and I hope I got that right, ambassador and translator to the Cats of Ulthar. Hopefully your pronunciation to the Cats is better than my pronunciation of your name.
We have Christopher N. Beyer, head negotiator for Faustian Bargains.
We also have Phil Ortiz, the temporary Gug sacrifice. Scout. Temporary Gug scout.
God, could have used one of those in TNA.
We also have Cleanna Bliana, or Cleanna Bliana.
Cleanna, yeah.
Or maybe it's Cleanna Bliana. I don't know. Cleanna Bliana, who is our designated Silver Lodge mole, or liaison.
Ooh, important. Don't lie to the lodge. Wait, no, do lie to the lodge. Kevin Lever is our satellite Innsmouth office vehicle mechanic. If you've got a boat that needs fixing or a car you're going to drive real fast, it's Kevin's job to get that ready for you.
Movement's important.
It is.
And finally, Oliver Soderstrom is the hidden cards expert collator. I just ran face first into like 3 hidden cards playing today, so I look forward to Oliver's help with that.
Yeah, those things they're hard to sort considering you can't see them.
True. So big thanks to all of our new office members, and hope you enjoy your titles. They're locked in forever. You can't change them.
Yeah, like I know we skipped an episode, but that's a lot of people hopping on at once. So that thanks everyone. That means a lot to us.
Mm-hmm. And as always, if you join at $5 or more, you can get your own office title. And feel free, you can always, some people have done this in the past, send us a message, say, I kind of want a title that relates to being a lawyer or construction, because I do one of those things. That's cool. Otherwise, we'll just give you random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not random, heartfelt.
Mm-hmm. Heartfelt random doesn't necessarily mean not heartfelt.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get in positions that need to be filled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we hire to the resume we're given. So, all right, excellent. I believe we have a little bit of news for once. Nick,
yeah,
you wanna hit us up?
So, before we get to the meaty one, I don't know what's going on tonight. I'm gonna really quick cover FFG Play and Share again. Make sure that you are tagging social media posts with hashtag FFG Play and Share. Take pictures of your Arkham stuff, that sort of thing, and let's unlock more content for the game that we all love, and maybe some other games too, I guess, but really just Arkham. You can go to FFG. It's still going on. Fantasy Flight Games. We're Bored in Quarantine is the article title. I think the original article. So check that out. But what we're really here to talk about is the announcement of the return to the Circle Undone. I don't think anyone was surprised to see this, but that doesn't mean we were no less excited to see it. Some really, really cool stuff in here. I think the coolest of which, I'm just going to go ahead and take it since I'm talking already. I kind of have a momentum going.
We can't stop you.
TCU, don't even try. Return to TCU is going to not only make TCU better, but also improve other Arkham campaigns as well with an entirely new set of cards that are campaign agnostic. If you haven't seen the article yet, I'm just going to tell you. I'm gonna keep saying I will tell you. Eventually, I will get to it. They're tarot cards.
The suspense is killing me.
You get a deck of custom tarot cards using the tarot art that we all love from TCU. In my opinion, probably the best art included in TCU was that tarot art that was on all the agendas and acts.
Oh, it's so good.
It's beautiful. Well, you get a whole deck of tarot-sized cards with that art on it that you can use to basically do I think there's a couple different ways you can do it, but a few different readings, quote-unquote, when you sit down to play a scenario. And they can have positive and negative effects based on the cards that you draw. It sounds really awesome. And, that's so cool that now we get a Return to box that just improves the game. Like, of course they all improve the game, but like explicitly other campaigns beyond TCU. Like there's so much going on with this box. I love it.
Yeah, this immediately becomes the best Return expansion. I don't even have it in my hands yet. But
Yeah.
I know the community has been all aflutter trying to figure out or theorize about how the readings actually work. But what we do know is, like, in some way, as Nick mentioned, they'll have either a positive or negative effect across the course of a campaign, which is really cool. It's almost like an agenda in Game of Thrones or a contract in Lord of the Rings. Like, kind of, not quite, but just that idea of this, like, kind of, it seems like they're mostly these passive effects that are just going to be in play for that scenario or that campaign.
Kind of throwing a layer of mechanics over what already is going on.
Right.
And MJ was recently on Los Archivos de Arkham, I believe is the name of the Spanish podcast. And they did a interview with him. If you haven't seen it, go on their YouTube channel and watch it. It's about 2 hours long. And they do it in English because MJ does not speak Spanish. And it's a really great interview. And MJ speaks about this and how, because they asked them how many readings there are. And they said there's 4. But didn't go into any more detail. So apparently there's 4 different ways to do a reading. Like
types of readings, like formats for readings?
Yeah, 4 patterns or something like that. So, yeah.
And I know MJ is like super into tarot to begin with. And I know next to nothing about tarot, but I think there's kind of room for some creative license there, right? In how you do readings. Like this could be... This could be something to really play around with from a community challenge standpoint, depending on what these look like.
And I will say that MJ obviously stole the idea of tarot readings from our Iron Man stream.
Obviously.
So, obviously, yeah. But, oh yeah, this looks absolutely amazing. The art looks fantastic. The teasing of it every day at midnight with the art on Twitter. Yeah. And
bringing us back to the days when Circle Undone was first being teased.
Yeah, so 22 tarot cards. So good variety there too. Like that's not a small deck.
Speaking of tarot cards, Sean, do you want to read the Moon Pendant for us?
I sure do. Moon Pendant is a level 2 neutral asset. It costs 2. It has item and charm traits. You have 1 additional tarot slot. Each non-weakness tarot asset in your hand or committed to a skill test gains 2 wild icons. And reaction when the game begins, if Moon Pendant is in your opening hand, put it into play. And it takes up the accessory slot. So I feel like this is a big piece of what tarot needed to actually become its own legitimate thing. Or at least it's a piece. It's a piece. Because, right. I've been throwing tarot in here and there where I just needed the stat boost, but and Scott, I think it was you who really convinced me to go down to 1 tarot. If you see the second tarot, you're just gonna be sad about it because it never has any icons.
One tarot is what I play. Yeah. Exactly 1 copy of 1. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean this seems pretty cool. Giving your tarot an extra option if you've got it in your hand. If you don't have the extra slot for it, if you drew your second copy, you don't need to play it down, or if you just haven't played it down yet and you're in a desperate need. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I mean, this way you could play, 4 tarot cards, 2 of one stat, 2 of the other. The thing is, this doesn't start in play, so you'd have to find this to give yourself an additional tarot slot. And this itself does not have any icons on it.
Right.
So if you play 2 of them, I am very interested to play this though. Don't take my finding the weaknesses of this card don't take that as me not excited, because I am, and I think there's got to be ways that people are gonna figure out how to just have, like, with this and Anna Caslow, like, just a million tarots. It'd probably be Lola. I mean, it's probably gonna be Lola at like 5-5-5-5 across the board or something like that. So
look, if that's the deck that like finally gets me interested in Lola. Like, I'm sorry that I always shit on Lola, but that's really cool.
yeah.
Like her multi-class access finally pulled together in a mechanical theme. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think having those icons suddenly opens up space in your deck, because maybe, let's say you had Unexpected Courage there. Well, now maybe you don't need it because you got 2 wild icons and your extra tarot or something like that. And it's nice that, you know, the tarots themselves, at least the ones we got so far, aren't unique. So, like, if you have that extra tarot slot and you want to throw a couple of 5 of Pentacles down for Calvin or something, go wild.
Yeah, totally. We also got what is this one called? The Star 17, which is a new Guardian tarot
Good
card.
Roman numerals.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm assuming you were praising me and not the card.
I sure had to take a second.
The Star 17 is a new Guardian tarot asset. It costs 3 experience and 3 resources. Tarot traded. Each asset you control with health gets +1 health. Each asset you control with sanity gets +1 sanity. And then reaction when the game begins, if the Star 17 is in your opening hand, you may put it into play. Takes up tarot slot. Okay, sure. I like it. So
I like this a lot in Leo.
I like this a lot in anybody. Well, Leo, I don't see, and I prefer revolving door Leo, who's just constantly cycling allies. So, but I could see a build, obviously, of Leo who uses this to great effect. Stacking this on, like, Guard Dog is, or not stacking it, but you know what I mean. Like, if you're playing Guard Dog, if you're playing Beat Cop, if you're playing what's the big one? The 7
Agency Backup.
Yeah, that's an extra damage and an extra clue you can get using this. Like, it's so cool.
Wouldn't that be 5/5 at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Network in chat mentions Key of Ease.
I mean, it's 13 experience, but yeah, why not?
Yeah.
YOLO.
So,
I mean, I love it with Tommy. Like, Tommy gets extra cash money off of more health and sanity.
So it's great. It's great. Guardians are going to use it, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
Davy in chat. I think the Star finally makes Key of East playable.
Yeah. Everybody remember that card?
It needed the buff.
Yeah.
Really not much else to say about the Star, I don't think. But, I didn't realize the next one was purple. Shoot. Sorry, Sean.
I'll forgive it.
Scott.
All right. The Hierophant, number 5. Your true master awaits. It is a 3-cost, level 3 mystic asset, tarot traded. You have 1 additional arcane slot. Your arcane slots can be used to hold cards that take up accessory slots, and vice versa. And then the tarot text reaction when the game begins. If Hierophant's in your opening hand, put into play. Takes up the tarot slot. Tarot slot.
Did you say the hero slot?
Yes.
This might be my favorite tarot so far. This is...
Yeah, because it essentially doesn't take up a tarot slot.
But the thing I do like about it is that, because we have, like, sign magic, and what's the ally that gives you an additional arcane slot?
Something familiar.
Yeah. Winged cat.
Which both have their uses, but I'm much more like the idea of just having a tarot card that's not taking up a key, like, ally slot. I forgot what the sign magic is, hand slot, I think.
Yep.
But just having this in play, especially if you draw it from the opening, and just having an additional arcane slot, and then potentially you could even use up your accessory slot for arcane slot. Like, now suddenly I'm imagining like an Akachi like super mage build, or it could be other mystics as well, but where you could have just crazy amounts of spells before that in play at the same time that just wasn't possible before.
Like, the flexibility is crazy, because like, if this just had you one additional arcane slot, full stop, that would be pretty good. But then you throw in that ability to take up accessory slots. Like this opens up some cool builds for, I don't know, like your Jewel of Aureolus and I don't know, maybe Kieves if we're getting crazy again. But the idea of throwing together a Mystic deck that really focuses on events for their spells instead of using the arcane slots that way, and then just loads up on the accessories. That could be really interesting.
Like Parallel Agnes, for example.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Oh God! Now I'm finally gonna have to print her off.
Not till Return comes out.
Davian Chat says Parallel Agnes using this to hold Rosary, Heirloom, and Hallowed Mirror.
Oh, gross and sexy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, throw in a little Robes of Endless Midnight, and now I'm there, like just free spells all day.
Awesome. Do we want to read the scenario? Erin's a scenario.
The ally?
Yeah.
Oh, that's who this is. Okay, so looking at the art on this that was on the box, I'm like, oh, that's really cool Diana art. Now I see it's not.
I guess we got it now. I mean, we talked about it, so we got to talk. So that would give us Ian.
Aaron.
Okay, we have
Aaron.
Aaron, and someone help me with the pronunciation of this last name.
Macoid?
McKay is what Davy says.
McKay. Okay.
I feel like there's a silent F somewhere in there.
Yeah, Aaron McKay. It's never as complicated as it looks.
Yeah.
Devoted Enchantress, 2-cost asset with 2 will icons, ally and witch traits, uses 3 secrets. You get +1 willpower. When you draw a non-weakness, curse, or power treachery, spend 1 secret and exhaust Aaron McKay. Cancel that card's revelation effect. 2 sanity and 2 health, and takes up the ally slot. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll certainly take that.
A neutral ward of protection. Not really, kind of. Like, okay.
Half ward?
Half ward, yeah.
Word of protection. Yeah.
Super reasonable cost, that too. +1 will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which one is this? Is the is it Wages of Sin?
Yes, Wages of Sin.
Is it the icon? The noose?
Good call. Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do what it takes to get this ally because it's pretty baller.
Oh, it's probably gonna be get all 4 spirits.
It's gonna be get all of them,
No.
and they're gonna be harder in return. You know they're gonna be harder.
Yeah.
I've never seen a return make something easy.
Exactly.
So one interesting thing to note about this return box is this is the first return box to give us new cards, not just upgraded or downgraded versions of cards that came in the cycle.
Oh, you're right.
Like these
That's
are
right.
These are all new cards, right? Like this is not an upgrade or downgrade.
Sure.
Yeah, so
I'm really glad they went that way because Tarot needed some love. They went out of their way to give it its own damn slot.
I'm honestly surprised that, like, now that we're going through Innsmouth, I almost said Dunwich for some weird reason. Now that we're going through Innsmouth and we're seeing all of the Bless and Curse cards, I'm very surprised that Tarot didn't get a similar treatment. And I kind of wonder if maybe that's why we have so many Bless and Curses, is because, like, that was something that a lot of people said was that, like, oh, you know, TCU, Tarot is cool, but it was underdeveloped or it was underutilized. So I
think MJ spoke on that at one point. I can't remember where I heard it, whether it was on our show or different.
Sure.
And one of the big parts was they can always come back to Tarot because they can just print in the rules, right? But Bless and Curse requires the actual cardboard tokens of Bless and Curse, so they have to go.
That makes
ham
sense.
on
Yeah,
it.
that does make sense.
In
I guess.
Innsmouth, right? Yeah.
But still,
And they have.
cool.
Yeah. So,
Should we save the actual tarot cards, or should we talk about those, like the deck of tarot? Like we already talked about them, but we didn't talk about any of the specific cards.
Let's maybe
I think
save
we can
it
leave
for
it.
when the release comes out, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Do we actually know how it works?
Cool, but very excited
Yeah.
for Return to Circle Undone.
we can do a whole card review episode of just the tarots.
Yes.
There's a lot of them, isn't there?
There's 22.
Oh my god, that's gonna take us
Wow.
forever.
God, the art
Yep,
is so
that's an
good,
episode.
too.
That's more than an
I
episode.
love this art.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think the Empress might be my favorite art of the ones here. They're all pretty good, though.
Solid. So that gets us through that article, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And then, as always, FFG Play and Share is still going on. So play Arkham, take pictures, hashtag FFG Play and Share. Let's see if we can get another parallel art unlocked. I wish we had asked Justin, like, hey, what percentage of the posts are now Arkham? Because I would imagine it's still got to be the majority of them.
We need more Daisy alt arts. Thank you, Big Kahuna. Yeah.
I was just about to say more alt arts of oranges. That is a Rite of Seeking reference for you. Okay, guys, let's crack into it. So let's talk about In Too Deep. And let's start with the player cards.
Can we just also, spoiler warning
for
this.
Yes.
We're going super deep into deep. So when we get to spoilers or to the encounter cards, we are going right through. We're going really deep and into deep. So
yes.
There we go. Deep.
Nick, you want to whistle us off here?
Riot Whistle, or...
That was a better laugh than that joke deserved.
Riot Whistle, or as I call it, Doot Doot Warning Flute, is a 2-cost, level 0 Guardian asset. Has 1 willpower icon, item, and tool traded. You may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to engage, and it takes up the accessory slot. This was revealed in a reveal article. We all thought it was a fun little toy. I think it definitely had a use, especially in larger player counts, and in specific builds. I think 4-player flamethrower loves this. But, I mean, I haven't played it yet. My thoughts really haven't changed since we talked about it previously. So
I think it also bears mentioning that in certain scenarios it's better than others too. Like the ones where there's a lot of aloof, like
Yes.
War of the Outer Gods. It's fine. An extra engage action is really good.
it's also terrible in Innsmouth.
I had this in my Nathaniel build, and it didn't come out until later in the game, sadly. But having played Tony a lot, who gives you an extra engage action as part of his own innate ability, at least an option, you can use fight or engage. I found myself using it a surprising amount, so I could see using this.
Sure.
I still think this maybe should take up a mouth slot as well as an accessory slot, but that's a whole separate discussion.
Oh God, now I'm thinking about what else would take up a mouth slot.
That's
I must not follow that thought through to completion.
Jim's trumpet.
I mean, it's fine. It's an extra action. It's just really conditional. Yeah. But look, as a person who plays a lot of multiplayer, if you're playing dedicated killer, sometimes just pulling, even if you can't kill the enemy, just pulling the enemy off of your clover so they can do their job and progress things is worth a lot. So I dig it. Righteous. Scott, you want to read the next one?
Yeah, but it's not hard to hunt down good times to play this card. Righteous Hunt is a 1-cost level 1 Guardian event with a combat and agility icon. It's tactic and bless traded, so Mateo can take it. Engage. Choose an enemy up to 2 locations away. Move 1 location at a time to that enemy's location. Engage it and add bless tokens to the chaos bag equal to that enemy's horror value. This is so very good in multiplayer and also lower play counts. Like if you have aloof enemies, to be able to like sail across the map and engage them, like the amount of actions this saves you is ridiculous.
Yeah, not only do you get to move up to 2 times, you also get that engage for almost free. I mean, as part of the movement. And then you also get to add bless tokens, which, I mean, probably it's usually only 1, maybe 2, but still, like, this is a 1-cost, 1 experience card that's saving you so much time in those situations that are needed. You know what I mean? Like, this is, I have it in my Mary deck, but I haven't actually played it yet, unfortunately. But I'm excited to.
Going back to, Sean, what you said about, like, peeling, or maybe it was Ian, but peeling someone off your Seeker. Like, you can be 2 locations away and still do that with a single action. You could also combo this with Doot Doot Engage Flute or whatever.
Warning flute.
But Doot Doot Warning Flute, yeah. So you could use the Riot Whistle, right? Like it's an engage action.
Oh yeah, it is itself an engage action. That's good. So, question. So we've also got a card, I think a similar card to this is Get Over Here, which pulls the enemy to you. Different costs, different levels, whatever. But in general, do you guys think if you're doing something like this, it is better to move to the enemy or to pull the enemy to you?
I think that's totally such. I don't think there's a general answer to that.
Well, then qualify
that's
it.
so tough.
So my only thing would be if you're pulling them to you, you don't risk running through other enemies.
Yep.
On your way to this enemy.
Sure.
And grabbing more than you can handle.
But Davi in chat points out that you can't use Get Over Here on elites. You can use Righteous Hunt on elites.
That's because you're moving to them. So if it's someone who's like locked at a location, okay, that's a thing.
And this one adds the bless tokens.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, though, Get Over Here actually bundles like the fight action with the engage. So it's tough. They both have their kind of pros and pluses and minuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're. I think they're different enough that they'll both get used.
Oh,
and
totally.
that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Or both at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of driving at one of these coming out on top, but they both have their place, which is the better way to go.
Yeah, I could see this in like someone like in our War of the Outer Gods, like someone like your Nathaniel Cho deck, Ian, playing both. 2 Righteous Hunts and 2 Get Over Here's, right? And you're just flying across the map and handling stuff.
Yeah, totally. I think as time has gone on, I've more and more gotten appreciation for engage effects than I once had, especially in multiplayer. I need to pay better attention to flavor text, apparently, because I just noticed that the flavor text of this card actually shouts out Lita specifically.
Yeah. That's fun.
Lita narrowed her eyes and tightened her grip.
And she's dropping down on ghouls.
Yep.
So appropriate. I dig it. Oh yeah, God. Lita Chandler, Investigator Wen.
Yeah, I want it.
I know there may or may not be like a canon ending for her character, but I still want that. I still want it.
Someone did there is a custom mini campaign where you play Lita Chandler,
right.
and it's like the prequel to The Gathering.
It's a scenario, yeah. It's called the Lemons of Belief. It's solo only, and you play as Lita.
There you go.
All right. So the main theme for this pack. Let's start off with Sacred Covenant, which is a null-costed level 2 Guardian asset. It is Covenant and Blessed traded. Permanent. Limit 1 Covenant per deck. And reaction after Investigator at any location, super important, performs the Reveal Chaos token step of a skill test, exhaust Sacred Covenant. Return any number of Blessed tokens revealed during this test to the Chaos bag, ignoring their modifiers for the test.
Neat.
Yeah, so I feel like the Covenants kind of set the stage for how you're going to play around with Bless and Curse, since Guardian really leans hard Bless. I don't think they have a single Curse card. So just being able to keep them in play, and for someone like Mary, who's going to try to seed the bag and then play with them with the other cards, keeping them in play is good. And then also, it's kind of that thing where, when we just thought Bless and Curse was going to be the modifiers and that was about it, we hadn't seen a lot of the other things that would play with them. Bless seemed kind of whatever, because we're all used to just being 3-up on a test anyway, so who cares? Being able to choose when you do this is pretty good.
Yeah, and you're allowed to keep them in the bag when you would crush that test anyways. Like you draw Bless, -1. It's like, well, I was 4-up anyways, so...
Yeah, they always seem to chain when you're already like ahead by a lot.
They sure do.
So I've been playing a campaign of 4 players, each with a Covenant, so playing full Curse and Bless, like complete chaos with the Chaos bag. Almost without fail, I would exhaust Sacred Covenant with Mary to keep a token in the bag, and then another test later in the turn would draw like 2 tokens, and I'd be like, God, no! It happens.
And Davy points out, notably, the only covenant that works at any location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a huge. I think every time I've played with it, I've had to read that twice because I'm just like, is that true? Any location? Usually, you don't get that lucky. This is definitely the covenant I've played the most. I think just because I have a campaign going with Mary, and that's like the most bless focused campaign I have going. But definitely helps keep the bag full of bless.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ian, why don't you read the next card? I don't have a pithy intro. Just go for it.
Okay. The Eldritch Sophist is a forecast level 0 seeker asset with a will icon. Ally in Miskatonic traded. Uses 3 secrets. Zappy Boy free trigger is Exhaust Eldritch Sophist. Move 1 secret or charge from an asset you control to another asset controlled by an investigator at your location. 1 health, 3 sanity, takes up the ally slot. I have a memory that we discussed this one before.
This was another one that was revealed.
Did we spoil this one?
Yeah, I thought this
Did we spoil this one?
I think we
was this
did.
our spoiler one?
Okay.
I think he's too high costed.
4 is high.
And the ability doesn't wow
and
me.
his soak isn't like the 3 is nice, but like he doesn't have the soak to fall back on. He, I don't know. 4 is high.
I'm not really a fan, not gonna lie. It's neat, but
there are a few cards in the game that can like convert uses, which is notable.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's going to be some crazy combo that someone smarter than me can find and probably has already found. But yeah, 4 cost is intense, man. For 4 cost for 3 uses is that's an ask.
Yeah.
And the stats he does have, like the 1/3, 1 health, 3 sanity. I mean, Seekers usually have quite a bit of sanity to start with.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you'd almost prefer it was like 3/1.
Yeah, I think there is going to be a deck that takes advantage of this, and Sophis is going to be like the linchpin to making this deck work. I guess we'll just wait to see when that deck shows up, and is that deck decent? Right. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But
important to note, well, maybe not important, but I think it's cool. In the art, he's playing the chessboard that is in, I can't remember the name of the card, but in another player card, I want to say a survivor card. There's a close-up.
Quick learner.
It's a close-up of this same chess. I just recognize because there's that one weird, like, swooshy white piece. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know what piece that's supposed to be in chess, but I'm like, I recognize that.
Probably a swooshy bishop.
Yeah, it could be a bishop.
A bishwhip?
Yeah, bishwhip.
All right, Nick, why don't you peek in the dark corner?
I feel like stirring up some trouble with Stirring Up Trouble. A level 1 Seeker event costs 0 resources, has a combat and an intellect, yay, icon. Insight and Cursed traded. As an additional cost to play Stirring Up Trouble, add Cursed tokens to the Chaos Bag equal to your location's Shroud value. Discover 2 clues at your location. Sure. What? Yep, why not? Yeah, let's do it. I like it. Like, I mean, it could be rough, but I like it.
Yeah. I think 1 to 2 player, this is amazing. No test, just get it done. Screw Shroud. And also we did a look what I found on this one too, so we've talked about it a little bit, but I think since playing around with Curse a little bit more, this card stock has only risen for me. It's super, super solid. And I also just love the fact that it's like they gave the art brief for Delve Too Deep to a different artist, and here we are.
Yeah, it's the cost being... I mean, the cost is essentially an action, which you're going to use investigating anyways. And this card, like the cost of the curse tokens, I've found now, having played with curses a lot, it's much easier to pay back that curse debt, if you will, over a few more tests, like in the future. I mean, this could also be you keep it near the end of the game where you know you just have to get clues really fast, and you're not going to be testing much. Like, this is just, absolute, just pedal to the metal. Amazing card.
If you compare it to Drawn to the Flame, that one Mystic card, that's also like a 0 cost to get 2 clues. I think I'd much rather add curse tokens versus drawing an encounter card in most situations, which I think is reflected in the XP cost, right? This is 1 XP versus 0 XP.
If only this had the investigate action, then this might well find its place into dubs.
Yep. It might still. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, too, it's an event. You could play with Farsight, right? Like, when you have a certain amount of cards in your hand, now it's fast. Like, fast, collect 2 clues, put some curses in a bag. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god, Flashlight, Farsight, stirring up trouble. Super combo.
Yep. Amazing.
And the other thing is, like, we keep talking about, curses. I still haven't played with the cursed tome. But by my estimation, if you do, and you need to get that thing translated, or it's translated, right, for that one? Yeah, we'll call it translated. You know what I mean. Being able to, like, pop over to a 4 shroud location to put the last four curses in the bag is pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. Oh yeah, Arcane Insight instead of Flashlight. That's the way to go.
Yeah. Anyways.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
So let's see here. Then that's going to lead us to Scott. Hit us up with our next covenant.
All right. This is the Blasphemous Covenant. Blasphemous Covenant is a null-costed 2 XP Seeker asset. It is Covenant and Curse traded, permanent, limit 1 Covenant per deck. Reaction: when an investigator at your location reveals a curse token during a skill test, exhaust Blasphemous Covenant. Treat that token's modifier as +1 instead of its normal modifier. After this test ends, return that token to the Chaos bag. Yeah, okay. It's alright, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
this one's okay.
My least least exciting, I think. But
right. Like, this is the kind of thing where, like, when you draw a curse token and it's just an investigate test and you don't have a whole lot invested in it, you'll probably let the curse token go. But if you pull a curse token on a test you really care about, like possibly during Mythos, on a key willpower test, and you weren't able to commit much, and it's like, this is important, this gives you an option. It keeps it in the bag, but it really lets you dial in when you let curse hit you harder, I guess.
Yeah, this is the one I'll always remember, is the one I took with Trish and War of the Outer Gods. Did I even use it once? Maybe once. I kept forgetting to activate it. One of the things I think about with this card and the last card we looked at is I tend to keep thinking of curse as like a negative thing, but I know there are builds that, and a build that I want to explore, of where you're actually actively trying to take on curse tokens because they're powering various things. And then in that situation, you're almost where you're trying actively to keep curse tokens in the bag and keep them around so they're going to pop up. You're almost like turning them into a quasi bless, you know, like +1 instead of +2. So in that regard, I could see definitely including this in that kind of build.
Yeah, I guess that's the important part. Like, are you just trying to balance out some curse tokens, or are you trying to keep that bag full of curse tokens and just mitigate the issues you're going to have with a bag full of curse tokens? Because I think in the second one, like you're saying, if you're trying to like translate that tome, or have a critical mass of curse tokens, this is pretty good because it helps you soften that blow.
I don't know if it's on the more powerful end of the covenants, but it is an interesting one. And I think it's maybe more subtle in how good it is, because you really have to get it on the table and take each test for how important it is and see when those curses come up. And I don't know, like I played that 4-player campaign. Our Rex was running this and used it more often than I expected. So because Rex, so it's like, if you can get +1 up on this test, just screw everyone else. That curse is someone else's problem. All right, I believe then we are to Breaking and Entering is a level 0 rogue event. It's 2 cost. It has an intellect and agility icon. It is trick traded. Investigate. Add your agility value to your skill value for this investigation. If you succeed by 2 or more, you may automatically evade an enemy at this location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Oh my god, Trish loves this so much.
As does Rita.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rita's good with it too, for sure.
Yeah. I think there's a few notable things here. One is it works on elite enemies, so you can automatically evade a boss. So there's quite a few scenarios that end with, like final location, there's a boss there and you need to get clues. So
Silas in the basement.
Yeah. Yep. So being able to peel off 2 clues and then evade a big boss automatically with one action is pretty good. I actually haven't used this one yet. Just haven't had a campaign going where it fit with the decks, but I do like it. Especially, obviously, the fact it doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity, because otherwise it'd be a problem. But
God, this is good.
This is pretty okay for skids too, right?
I was gonna say skids, Finn,
Sure.
Winnie, like all just, yeah.
Oh yeah, Winnie. Oh, Winnie.
Everyone loves this except for
Oh yeah,
maybe
definitely
Tony.
for Winnie. Let's just let's name all the
Right,
high
yeah,
agility
like-
investigators.
they're all,
Super good for Wendy too. It turns out.
yeah, she's down for some B&E.
B&E, dude.
Big Kahuna mentions in chat too using this with old Daddy Chuck.
Yeah, but that's
Making this,
that's literally every every event.
But this makes it free
By design.
free and
Yeah,
fast.
no, but that's
right.
yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you can say that about literally every rogue event.
Oh man, I need to take Daddy Chuck and Trish. That deck calls to me.
Davy points out the flavor text too is amazing. If you're careful, it's just entering.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
My only
All right, Ian.
I
Sorry. Go ahead.
was just gonna say the only thing I hope is that we one day get an upgraded one of this or something. I feel like I want it to do 2 clues, not 1.
Sure.
But maybe I'm just being greedy.
It's because I think we're so used to seeing discover an additional clue. You know what I mean? Like, so then when we don't see it, we're kind
Yeah.
of like, think you're missing
Or maybe-
something.
I played too much Seeker, Scott.
Discover an additional clue or automatically evade an enemy, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
think we probably will. It seems like the kind of card that's ripe for that.
Yeah. Return to the conspiracy of Innsmouth thing. All right, Ian, take the next one.
Skeptical about that. Skeptic is a level 1 rogue skill with a wild icon, practice traded. During the skill test, treat the modifier of each bless and each curse token as +1 instead of its normal modifier.
Such a shame that Silas cannot take this.
Yes.
Yeah. You would really get some value out of that.
I mean, he gets his own play during this campaign, but this would be super good.
Yeah.
Not bad for Amanda though.
I
Assuming
think
you're playing Blessed and Curse.
I think any deck that's running a lot of curses, right? Like if rogue, you're kind of using all those curses to get the bonuses, like like Faustian Bargain gives you more money in exchange for curses and all the other rogue bullshit that happens. This is a nice one just for, man, this test is really important and I can't risk drawing 3 curses and a -4. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really obviously dependent on what you're playing. Like if you're playing both bless and curse, it's tough because it might actually end up not necessarily hurting you, because changing a +2 from a bless to +1 isn't a huge deal, but not really getting value out of it. But if you are going kind of a more curse approach, it makes sense. I just sometimes have a hard time with these kind of cards, where skill cards that are dependent on drawing certain tokens.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Agree.
especially spending an XP on it. But if you have ways of seeing what's coming or manipulating the chaos bag, then maybe it's a little better.
I feel like when we're a little bit closer to being caught up on content, we need to have just like a discussion on skill cards. I feel like that is a discussion that's rife for interpretation, because I feel like so many people have different interpretations on skill cards. For my part, I want, in general, on a skill card, I want something to enhance my result of the test for the most part. I either want lots of icons so I pass, or I want it to enhance my result. And if it doesn't do one of those two things, I'm generally giving it a pass.
Yeah.
But, wild icon, single experience, this isn't too bad. It'll see some play. All right. So then I think we're to Nick on the next one.
Okay. The False Covenant is a 2-costed rogue asset, null resource costed. Covenant curse permanently when one covenant per deck. Reaction: when an investigator at your location reveals a curse token during a skill test, exhaust False Covenant. Cancel that chaos token, return it to the token pool, and reveal another token. Okay, sure. Yeah, I like it. I mean, there's still the chance that you're gonna just faceplant on the next token, but still.
What do you think the chances are that you're? What do you think the chances are that you're going to draw the exact same curse token? 80%?
80 to 85, yeah. I think
If Black Rider's Frodo taught me anything, it's 100%.
No, you don't. But you don't return the curse token to the bag. You return it to the token pool, so it's out of the bag. You take it out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, token
No,
pool,
that's-
not.
LTFC.
That's
noob.
good.
Jesus, what am I doing?
But like, gosh, I don't know. Like,
Network 0%. Thank you. That is the accurate answer.
yeah, I mean, I like it. So is this one that like this is probably one that like you? Gosh, do you use it on the one? You probably use it on like the second curse token, right? Yeah.
I think so. First of all, I've been playing this card wrong, which is embarrassing to say. But second of all, now that I know how it's played, I think the second you can use it, you use
really?
it.
Yeah.
Because it filters out curse tokens. It's like curse token, yeah, cool, bye. Start the test over again, essentially.
But what if you're like up by 5 and you draw a curse token, and then you draw another curse token, and then you're like, well, you know what I mean? Like, what if you just draw one curse token? Are you gonna use it then, or are you like, well, I'm still up by 3? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it depends on how many curses you're throwing in the bag.
I think it depends on how many curse tokens you got in the bag, how many tests you have left to go. Like, what's interesting about the Covenants, as far as my play goes, is you really there's how many tests are left in the turn. There's what is the bag at. Like, there's a few different factors you consider. Nick, I don't think you're crazy. I think there are some situations where you might go, I don't think I use it yet.
Right.
But I do think most of the time you use it whenever you see a curse token.
Okay.
I think my only thing to that, Nick, is if I'm up by 5 and I draw one curse token, there's no guarantee. Like, if I skip it, there's no guarantee I'll draw another one, and I just don't want to miss the opportunity to use it every turn as like a scrubbing the bag, I guess.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think the main thing about this one, I agree with what people have said, and usually I tend towards use it when it's in hand because I don't like wasting an effect that I paid for. But I think a big difference with this one is, since it is removing the curses out of the bags, maybe this isn't as great if you're trying to keep the curses rolling. So this seems more like curse mitigation than what was the last one we looked at, the Blasphemous Covenant.
Yeah. And I will say too that this card also would suffer a lot from, oh god, it's a type of bias, but
confirmation bias.
Yeah, like basically, there's gonna be times where you cancel a curse token and then you draw the auto fail, and you're gonna be like, oh, if I just taken the curse token, I probably would have drawn a -1, and then that's gonna stick in your mind. But you have to remember that, like, mathematically, this is just better to get those curse tokens out of the bag. It's just going to be a better bag, at least in my eyes. But I know that there is that risk of remembering only that time it screwed you over. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's so much confirmation bias as it is tentacle trauma.
Yeah. There's present bias. I forget what it is. There is a bias that I'm thinking of, but I forget the name for. But
all right. So let's see here. That was Nick. So I think then we are to Scott. Bring us home on some purple cards, baby.
Yes. Armageddon is a 4-cost, level 0 mystic asset with a combat icon. It is spell and cursed traded. Uses 3 charges. Action, spend 1 charge, fight. This attack uses willpower instead of combat and deals +1 damage. If a curse token is revealed during this attack, you may deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location or place 1 charge on Armageddon, and it takes up an arcane slot. I think this is pretty good if you're running a lot of curses.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna say for.
It's obvious that that's the
of
qualifier.
spells. Like, Are you running curses? Use them. Are you not?
I mean,
skip them.
Here's the deal, though. I think even if, like, in general you're running curses, if you're not running any other token manipulation, Armageddon this out of my deck. Because it is a more expensive, shorter lasting shriveling that is only good if I pull curse tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I'm running this in Jackie, or if I've got probably like Grotesque Statue or something like that, where I can actually have a fighting chance at pulling the token I want, the token I included this in my deck for, then yeah, it's pretty good, because like putting more charges on it is pretty great, dealing extra damage is pretty great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can spread that damage around, so it's like a tiny AoE, but I don't know if but it's not reliable, I guess, unless you use those Favor of the Moon.
Sure, yeah. We get those cards. Like, see, here's the thing: as we start talking about Bless and Curse, we don't have the full suite yet.
Yeah,
we're reviewing these. My perspective on these is probably going to change by the end of the cycle.
Yeah, one of the things about it is I could see it as like a secondary attack spell, even if you had 0 curse tokens going on, just because it's not hurting you, no matter what you draw, compared to Shriveling or, oh god, what's the other one? Azure Flame. Which both potentially do something bad to you, depends on what this is drawn, where this is just straight up, +1 damage, and it's just giving you a kicker. One of the things that I didn't notice the first few times I read this is that, like, the curse token effect is going to go off even if you fail the fight, which it just totally flew over my head. I'm like, am I going to draw? Oh, wait, if you draw a curse token, even if you fail, you're still getting good damage. Yeah, so.
Or you put you miss, but you put the charge back on. It's like, this is a survivor card. What the hell?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. It's like failure mitigation. Or like if you were swinging at a cultist, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I do the damage. I have included this in a deck. I think I've gotten that extra effect to trigger once. But when Favor of the Moon comes out, or whatever that's called, I think that's probably where you go.
Yeah.
So then I will move to the Eye of Chaos, or as I like to call it. Someone get this lady Visine stat. We have it is a level 0, 5 cost mystic asset. It has an intellect icon. It is spell and cursed traded. It uses 3 charges. Action, spend a charge. Investigate using willpower instead of intellect. If you succeed, discover an additional clue at this location. If a curse token is revealed during this investigation, you may discover 1 clue at a connecting location or place a charge on Eye of Chaos. And of course it takes up an arcane slot. I feel like
worst case of conjunctivitis I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's real bad. I feel like this is better than Armageddon, because at least comparing it to its counterparts, it has the same amount of charges as a Clairvoyance or a Rite of Seeking. It just costs 1 more. And for that 1 cost, then you get the ability to potentially trigger those curse token bonuses.
Mm-hmm. And Davvy's pointing out in chat too, key part of this, it allows you to discover a clue at a connecting location, not the same location you're at. So you can't scoop up 3 from the same location. You have to be connected. So it takes a little bit of planning too, I think, to see
that's fine, but
how this works
worst case scenario, just throw another charge down.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
It keeps filling itself up. Yeah.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
I definitely like this better than Armageddon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Again, it's fine. It's okay. It does what it does. I'm still like Clairvoyance. And then, I don't know. Okay, so is this better than Rite of Seeking? Do you guys think? For the extra cost, is it worth it?
I mean, you don't lose your turn.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
It's big. It's not nothing.
It does cost 5. That is that is steep.
That is like flagship ally cost.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you drop your Unquiche the Soul on this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I look at this and I'm like, why not just play 6 cents for 2 less resources and always be investigating with willpower and possibly grabbing stuff from other sites? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is when you stack this up against like 6 cents.
Maybe I just love 6 cents so much.
Maybe when you stack anything up against 6 cents.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're doing token play, if you got curses, this isn't bad. Like, for one extra cost, I'd run this over Rite of Seeking if those other conditions existed.
Yeah.
All right. So then, Ian, round out the trio, if you would.
Okay, Shroud of Shadows is a 3-cost mystic asset with an agility icon, spell, and curse traits. Uses 3 charges. Action, spend 1 charge. Evade. This evasion attempt uses will instead of agility. If you succeed and the evaded enemy is non-elite, you may move that enemy to a connecting location. If a curse token is revealed during this evasion attempt, you may move to a connecting location or place 1 charge on Shroud of Shadows. Takes up the arcane slot.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's
I think-
interesting compared to Mist that you're moving the enemy instead of moving yourself. Well, at least as part of the base effect, not the curse effect.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you happen to get you get the curse token and you pass, you can push the enemy away and move yourself away. So now it's evaded and you're 2 spots away. Like that enemy's not coming back to you again, most likely.
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at this from a solo point of view because that's where I've tested this. But when I had the curse fire, I was like, well, that hunter is just out of the game for me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and there's lots of situations where, like, the miss effect of moving away is really good too, but there's lots of situations where, like, you're at the location where you want to be, and then an enemy pops there, and it's kind of nice to have, like, you usually, because you need to get clues or whatever, it's nice to have the option of kicking them away, and they're still evaded, so they'll at least they're not going to move in again on the same turn, so you have some time to get the clues off or whatever.
And yeah, if you do fail, I mean, you could still move. If you do fail and you draw a curse token, you could still move, but the enemy is coming with you. But maybe that's fine, right? So because you try again and you pass, yeah.
You know when you never run this spell? In Carnival of Horrors.
Yes.
Because you're either moving the enemy ahead of you or you and the enemy, like, the 2 out of 3 bad, 1 out of 3 good.
It's like pissing in the wind.
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun. Usually it's not.
So I think in anything but true solo, I would tend to take Shroud over Mists, right?
I feel like
Because
I'd take
either
solo.
way you're getting.
Like in solo,
Sorry,
I'd
go
take
ahead.
Shroud. I think.
Oh, you think so? Okay, well, maybe. I don't know. I suppose it kind of depends on whether you're planting or whether you're already moving. So maybe that's just more a momentum thing.
Yeah.
Shroud, Miss is 1 cheaper than Shroud and has 1 extra charge, so it's a little more cost effective in that way. So yeah, it just depends on what you think is going to be more helpful.
All right. Who's reading Paradoxical Covenant? Is that Sean?
I'll go ahead and read it since Sean seems to be quiet. Paradoxical
Dead.
Covenant. Jesus. It's a 2 experience, null costed mystic asset, Covenant, blessed, and cursed traded. Permanent, limit 1 Covenant per deck. Reaction. After an investigator at your location performs the reveal chaos token step of a skill test, if both a blessed token and a curse token were revealed during that test, exhaust Paradoxical Covenant. This test automatically succeeds. This, and I forget what the Survivor one is, but this is the one that I'm the least hot on just because it requires both, which means you need to be playing hard into both Bless and Curse, whereas the other Covenants seem to reward you for one or the other. But, that said, a free auto-succeed, I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah, I just...
But it does, this asks more of you than the others, and I think that's where I'm like, sure. I think this is a multiplayer one, more so than the others.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Davi's saying in chat that he ran the numbers for this, and so 10 blessed tokens and 10 curse tokens in Night of the Zell with Olive is 80% chance to proc, which is okay, awesome, 80% chance of that happening. However, how much effort have you put in to get Olive out, to get 10 Bless tokens, and get 10 Curse tokens?
Yeah.
Like that to me is the bigger issue. Like to get to that point of it being 80% is just
like 80% is awesome, but you have to do a lot of dedicated work to get there. So
I would say I think the only time I've really felt I've been very skeptical of this one as well. But again, I keep referring back to my 4-player campaign because it's like the best, like all in on Curse and Bless example that I have. But I had a Luke running this one, and probably about 5 or 6 times throughout the campaign it triggered.
That's not bad.
It's of course it was Dream Eater, so that's among 4 scenarios, but it's definitely hard to pull together. I feel like you have to be running token manipulation to really, really actually justify this. That said, it is only 2 experience. It's not a huge ask. Like,
but the others are all 2 experience, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think that's like.
So if you have an off class, you can definitely take one of the better ones.
I still think that. I think that it sounds like you tested this in the most favorable conditions, which is when you have 4 people all playing Bless and Curse. That's where I think this is going to see the most use.
I think
in favor. And as David points out in the chat, like again, we talk about all these things that depend on pulling one of these tokens. When Favor the Moon, Favor the Sun come out, I feel like it's a different conversation.
Sure.
It changes the conversation about so many cards.
It does.
I feel
really
everyone is just in holding mode for Favor of the Sun and Favor of the Moon. I know I am.
It's a shame that they come so late in the cycle.
I know. I wish they'd come out earlier, but it's fine. Once they come out, we'll forget that ever happened. This is definitely the one I've used the least, just because I think it is like you need to have that 3 or 4 player Blurs team that's running both, and it takes a lot of that burden off of any one player because everyone's kind of contributing to filling up the bag, and then you can trigger this more reliably. It's the hardest one to pull off, but obviously it gives you the biggest kind of bonus from it. So I think it's well balanced in that way, but I just it's definitely a more niche situation than the other covenants, I think, just even in terms of player count.
All right. Well, I had some internet issues, so I think I'm lost in the order, but let's go with Scott for the next card.
I was going to say, has your internet found its way? Because does it need a compass?
I think so.
Okay.
Guide us on, Scott.
All right. So we have Mariner's Compass, a 3-cost level 0 survivor asset with an intellect icon, item, and tool traded. Action: exhaust Mariner's Compass. Investigate. If you succeed and have no resources in your resource pool, discover 1 additional clue at your location. Or fast triggered ability, I believe is the correct term for the Ziggy boy. During an investigation using Mariner's Compass, spend 1 resource. You get +1 intellect for this skill test. Limit 3 times per investigation. Takes up a hand slot. It is Fire Axe for clues, and I love it. Except you have to exhaust it. That's a big ask, but
I feel like that's important for clues, though, right? Because Fire Axe, like, great, you can swing it all you want. It's not going to progress your game.
Right.
If you didn't have to exhaust Mariner's Compass and you could just 6 clues in a turn, like, that's insane.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you're not always going to have a target for Fire Axe, whereas you're almost always going to have a target for the Compass. Like, clues are almost always going to be on locations, unless you're playing fucking Last King or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it was balanced fairly appropriately.
Yes, I agree.
Or, God, what's the Clover Club?
Yeah, well, I mean, second half of Clover Club,
the house always
works.
wins.
But first half, you're kind of out of luck.
I really like this card. Sub-Zero Joe asks in the chat, is Mariner's Compass too expensive for a Dark Horse build? I mean, I preach constantly about...
Dark Horse is a card.
Yeah, I preach constantly about Dark Horse, where I think you have to turn it on and off, right? Like, sometimes you take that resource, sometimes you don't, sometimes you gain resources, so you can... Like, I mean, I run emergency caches in my Dark Horse builds, because sometimes you have to get up there, play down Compass, and then get back down to Dark Horse realm, right? So...
Cache is perfect for Dark Horse, I think. Because it's just,
Yeah,
bam, 3 resources, then you spend them immediately.
Right? And I think 3 is an absolutely fair price for this. For what it does. Like, it's just essentially once per turn you have a deduction.
Yeah, I like it.
The art on this is also near and dear to my heart because
It's good.
thanks to my patron funded tattoo, I also have tentacles crawling up my wrist.
Oh.
Yeah, I just like the art in general. It's
The waves
simple,
in the background are
but-
beautiful.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Since this card has come out, I haven't played Preston, and I wanna throw this in a Preston deck because it seems like you could do some work for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Preston with like level 0 streetwise, you could hit some big tests with this.
So just to give you an idea of how I've evaluated this card and how I think it's so great, look at Fingerprint Kit. So in the clue getting class, you have an asset that costs 1 more, also takes up a hand slot, exhausts when it uses, and only does it 4 times.
Uses, yep.
Right?
No uses on this thing.
This is a fingerprint kit that never runs out. It's 1 cheaper. Yes, you have to be broke, but I think Survivor class does really well at that.
It's easy to get broke.
Yeah, it's easy to get broke, and it's really good staying there sometimes, right? Like, so I think this card is...
Poverty is a cycle.
And I think, like, Fingerprint Kit, I think is a really good card. And this, I would say, in, like, comparing class for class, this outpaces it.
Also, remember, ladies and gentlemen, that one Ashcan Pete can discard a card to ready this bad boy.
Yep.
He's so
Or you could be
broken.
Min and play both cards. Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
True.
All the clues.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah, it's just good. Okay, so then I think the final card is Ancient Covenant, which is a level 2 null-costed survivor asset. It is Covenant and Blessed, traded, important. Permanent, limit 1 Covenant per deck. Reaction, when an investigator at your location resolves a Blessed token during a skill test, exhaust Ancient Covenant. Do not reveal another token as a part of this Blessed token's effect. Boom, just full stop.
Yeah, this is the best Covenant in my mind.
It's good. It's good. Like, putting the not reveal another token on Blesses is a very good reason to include Blesses in the bag.
Yeah, this once per turn, this turns a Bless into a +2. You're done. And yeah, I don't know how else to say this card is really good. It's the best of the Covenants, I think. If you're running Bless tokens, even just a couple, this is fantastic.
I would agree.
And Mateo can take it, so he can go like Turbo Bless. So
Yeah, I talked earlier in the episode about my Mateo Bless campaign that I started, and I used 2 of my initial 5 XP on this because might as well start out with a permanent card that's gonna help you with your Bless stuff.
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of times in my 4-player Blurst campaign that this comboed with the Guardian Covenant.
Oh, sure.
Just be like, oh, was that a Blessed token? Okay, put it back. We're done. Good test, everyone.
I feel like on the really good cards, we don't have much to say because we're just like, this is amazing. Here's why. The end.
Yeah. I feel like all of the things we've talked about informs why this card is so good.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the end of the player cards. So guys, let's hop into the scenario. Now, Ian, you gave us our show notes this time, so why don't you run the show?
Okay, sounds good. So, In Too Deep starts off with Alina Harper leading you back to Innsmouth, and this is, if you're keeping track of our timeline, this is in our present timeline. And Innsmouth is now infested with deep ones wandering the street, and oh boy, is the encounter deck infested with deep ones. And so the goal is to escape to the cars on the other side of town, and that's how you win. Simple enough. So I think one of the things that stands out right away about this scenario is there's a big map of 15 locations. So one of the bigger maps in the game. And then there's kind of some cool connections back to Vanishing of Alina Harper scenario where hideout that you got, and vanishing determines the location of the black key, I think it is, and also any suspects that are out for blood can make a reappearance. So other notable features of this scenario, I think kind of the big thing that makes this scenario stand out from other scenarios is the barriers, the using resource tokens to represent barriers between locations. So how did you all find your barrier experience?
I really liked the mechanic because it kind of forced you, if you went the easiest path as far as barriers go, it made you make like an S and go through all the locations. I thought they fit really well. I was actually quite worried about the scenario because I looked at the preview article and I was like, God, look at all those barriers. I have to fight through all those to get to the finale. But it really does, I don't know, it works well.
Why didn't we get barrier tokens?
3D barrier tokens that you can set up in between.
Careful what you wish for, Nick.
Pre-painted barrier minis. Yeah.
I personally loved how the whole barrier mechanic worked because, yes, worst case scenario, you always have the option to just snake through the path of least resistance. But depending on the investigator and the situation and the resources available to you, you can activate those abilities on the locations and potentially sneak through in other ways. On top of that, one of my favorite games in this campaign so far is How Do I Kite the Shoggoth?
Yes. And
getting him to bust down barriers for you is actually, it can be pretty beneficial depending on your configuration.
Yeah, no, that was that. The other ways that are not so obvious on how you can get barriers down was a fun little game I learned kind of like in my second play. I was like, oh, what if I do this? Or it was, man, I just love the location play in this scenario and in this whole campaign. It's been great.
Except, fuck the supermarket. I hate that location with a passion in multiplayer. Because anytime you're trying to like move as a group, that is such a roadblock.
I want to create an alt art version of the Innsmouth Shoggoth that's just the Kool-Aid Man on it. Just breaking through all the barriers.
Oh yeah!
Yeah, I agree, Scott, that like kind of the location play in this whole campaign has been one of its strong suits, but the fact that you have those additional ways to get rid of barriers really elevates the scenario, because if it was just spending clues to get rid of them, it might feel a little vanilla, but I think it opens up a lot of options.
I also love the single act card where it just, there's no surprises with spend some clues and here's, reshuffle the encounter deck or whatever through 2 or 3 act card. It's just like, here's your act card, get to the end, there you go. No surprises. Like,
just get to the car.
Yeah.
Hashtag get out.
Yep.
Start the boat.
Which I think it really kind of, anyone who really enjoyed the original Innsmouth story, that is one of the parts of that story that most sticks out in my mind, is just that feeling of gotta get out of Innsmouth. And I think this is the scenario we got that's really kind of captures that feeling of trying to make your way and avoid all these creatures who are looking for you. Which brings me to another notable feature that sticks out to me about this scenario is the constant murder balls of enemies that forming together and following you.
It's the worst.
First of all, reading the enemy movement rules in this scenario is super fucking important, and I completely messed it up my first time playing through. But it adds an interesting... I think it plays exactly to what you were saying, Ian, where it just feels like, oh my god, they're all coming for me. I need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, everyone knows I'm already the kind of player who plays a lot of evade-heavy investigators. But even when I'm playing kind of more fighty investigators, I don't tend to do a lot of fighting in this scenario, because sometimes it's just better tempo, more efficient to just keep moving instead of like getting slogged down by the murder ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really liked how the flooding happened as well in this scenario, and how it felt like there was not just the murder ball of enemies coming from the right side of the board to the left, but also the water, and how that kind of sped things up or pushed you along.
I think I liked flooding in this. I think I like flooding in this scenario better than the other ones that I've seen it so far in, just because this really feels like it feels more like a tidal wave. You know what I mean? Whereas everything, all the other scenarios, it's kind of like just this location, then this location. Like they're kind of random spots here and there around the map. Whereas this is literally just like stay ahead of the wave. I really like that.
This felt like, to me, it made me feel like the tide was coming in.
Yes.
You know, like,
And it was.
It was, yes.
I think it's one of those things where, like, this scenario has barriers, it has keys, it has flood tokens. There is a lot to keep track of, but on the other hand, I feel like in other games, like, all those things might work together to be just too much brain burn. But I don't feel that usually in this scenario, because I think one of the strengths of Arkham is sometimes the way that the mechanics just really work in the way you expect them to thematically. So when I am thinking about those flood tokens, like, it just makes sense. Yeah, the flood is advancing and kind of swarming in from the coast, and so it just helps, I think, a little bit to mitigate that brain burn, because it just kind of works in a way that makes sense. Other features of the scenario are the flashbacks. So there's, similar to what we've seen in Pit of Despair earlier in the campaign, there's some flashbacks that you can access. In this case, there's 4 of them. There is flashback 5, which all you need is 2 or more keys at Innsmouth Square, and you get the bus driver, Joe Sargent, who is extremely useful in this scenario.
Yes.
Oof.
Gives you a free trigger move, essentially. And then the flashback 6, if you have 5 keys at the little bookshop, you get Teaching of the Order, which gives you 3 different once per campaign abilities you can use. And then flashback 7, look at this old chestnut. Add a +1 token to the campaign bag.
You're right, Ian. Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
I don't know about you guys, but this is the one I've yet to get, because you need 7 keys at Sawbone Alley to get this one.
It's so tough. And the only way you can do that is by killing the mob.
Yeah.
Which has an ungodly amount of hit points.
Yeah.
And it doesn't in most cases make a lot of sense, because we talked about keeping ahead of the murder ball, and probably my most successful Innsmouth campaign so far is Stella solo, because she's just amazing. But I got 6 keys, and then I'm like, wait, where's the 7th key? Where is this? And then, eventually I figured out and looked that it's only the mob in that. But usually by the time it spawns, if things are going well, you're way ahead of that, and going back to try to get it just seems crazy. And then flashback 8 is basically attainable if you get the black key, the location of which depends on the vanishing hideout, and that lets you remove a bad stuff token. I always pick Elder Thing to remove.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where I was going to go. Here's a question I have. Is that a trap? At the end of this campaign,
guaranteed,
is there going to be a thing where, like, if there's no Elder Things in your bag, fuck you? Because like, it's a non-choice, right?
Sure.
Like, everyone removes the Elder Thing. I feel like we're being suckered into something.
Oh, that'd be such a troll move. I mean, I would have...
Calling it now. Just mark that one in your diary. By the end of the campaign, if we do not get fucked by having no Elder Things in the bag, then I'm wrong, and I will eat my hat.
One of my favorite parts of this scenario, I guess, depending on your outcome and which flashbacks you get for all future scenarios, Casey and I have our campaign going through, which is my blind campaign, and it's Amanda and Silas together. And Amanda is running Witten Green. And Amanda got Teachings of the Order. So she has a permanent tome out, which means Witten always gives you the stat boost.
Oh, that's a tome. That's really good.
Yes. Yeah. So good. Anyways.
Write that down in my notes here.
Yeah.
And that stays in play even after you've used all the options, right?
Yes, it's permanent.
Yep.
That's super good.
We talked a little bit about the Kool-Aid Man, the Innsmouth Shoggoth already. What are some other notable encounter cards that stuck out to you?
Pulled back.
Yeah.
That one is just... So, again, speaking of Casey and I's campaign, this one screwed us like on the last turn, and Amanda got pulled back into the murder ball, and Silas just went ahead and resigned.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we just decided, like, there was no way. There was 3-ish enemies, maybe 4, and Casey's like, I think I can get rid of 1, maybe 2, and I'm like, I would have to hop back over. Like, there's a barrier now between us, and it was just like, sorry, Amanda, bye.
Bye.
And yeah, just moving back 1 east and ignoring all barriers, like, that can send you back up to 5 locations.
Yeah.
Essentially, in the path. Like, it's insanely bad.
Yep. Yeah, if you don't have your card, you're listening and you don't have your cards in front of you, this is a willpower test. If you fail, move to the connecting location to the east, ignoring all barriers. Then place each key you control on your location.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It pulls all your keys too.
This to me is like just an instant cancel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is the one you put like Eye of Truth on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, this is the no button.
Anything that moves you east in this scenario, and we'll talk about the bad stuff tokens in a little bit, is just, yeah, that's probably a big part of how you might lose.
Deep One Invasion sticks out to me. Keeping in with the theme, we'll just call it Murder Snowball. Because I do like the design in that if you pull it early, it's next to nothing, or it's an enemy. And if you pull it late, it's like 3 to 4 enemies. But it's still like piling up behind you. Hey, look at all the things that are chasing you. So then if you pull that and then pulled back, like, it can get bad in a hurry.
Yeah. The fact it's for each location to the east. I've definitely drawn this and pulled out like 3 enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Onto the board.
Look, I'm not used to Merv encounter cards in Arkham. They were a big thing in Lord of the Rings, where like 1 encounter card would spawn you several encounter cards depending on your circumstances. Not entirely happy to see it come back, but in this scenario, when the theme is keep moving, keep going, enemies kind of have a circuitous path to run, it's okay. I hate it. It's a bad card. I'll cancel it if it's terrible. But I don't like, my salt levels are still pretty okay.
Yeah, I agree that it makes sense in this scenario, the context of the scenario. Well, this is not a new encounter card, but I felt like it deserves special mention, which was once again Deep One Assault. Because yeah,
when will we not talk about that one?
Yeah,
I've played this scenario twice, and that card ruined both plays, like straight up. So yay.
Yeah, I had one play where it was my sister Mary and oh god, who's the other person in that campaign? I only think about Sister Mary. Oh, Amanda. That's not fair to Amanda. I love Amanda too. But there was the murder ball. It must have been like 5 or 6 deep ones at the connecting location, and I pulled Deep One Assault. And thankfully, Sister Mary had Ward of Radiance, so you can imagine that was a tense pull from the Chaos bag. But luckily, there was a blessed token there. So, whew.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, this one can end your game with a quickness for sure. Okay, let's talk strategery, or strategy, as some people call it. What strategies have you found for this one?
Go fast,
So
take
as
risks.
with yeah, just go. And as with all of Innsmouth, pack your mobility tricks, because holy cow, like keeping ahead of the crowd, or just being able to like shortcut, or shoot, what's the one where you just move until you hit an unrevealed location? Seeking the Truth?
Truth
beckons?
Truth beckons.
2 seconds, yeah.
That one's pretty good.
Nimble.
Like anything that just gets you ahead of the crowd is super clutch.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the key decisions of this scenario is it's one of those, and I feel like Innsmouth has been already playing with this. We're 3 scenarios in that we've talked about at this point, but the push your luck aspects, like how many keys are you going to push your luck for, is really strong in this scenario, because you can just cut a beeline and ignore the keys and get out easy, quote unquote, but you can also push your luck and try to get, the 5 or the 7.
And the black key can be really, really, really unfortunately placed sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I think with keys, and this has kind of been also just my general Innsmouth strategy, is I take the easy ones and maybe the medium difficulty ones, but the ones that are just like, oh god, it's bringing me back to the Circle Undone with the wraiths in the graveyard. Like, there's just some that are poorly placed, and I'm just like, well, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And I just, the amount of effort it would take to do that safely, and hope you don't draw bad cards and get, like, the counter deck in this one could just screw you so bad. The pushing your luck for more keys is really pushing your luck, more so than other scenarios, I think.
Yeah, I think the nice thing is that the pushing your luck is really getting you some goodies, like Teaching of the Order or a +1 token, but not so much like campaign necessary stuff. So you can kind of control your destiny in that way, that, do I really want these goodies? But you're not going to get punished if you're playing it more safe.
Right.
And then we've talked about the murder ball a lot, that follows you around. But I just think that's one of the tensions of the scenario that I run into, is like, do I need to fight and like thin that herd a little bit in case a deep one assault screws me, or do I just keep moving?
You pack dynamite.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. I think I usually lean on the side of just keep running.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. Unless you can catch it early before it becomes a murder ball and down an enemy without eating too many actions. Like, otherwise it's just like a lost cause. Like,
it takes so many actions. Like, once that murder ball is kind of up and running, it takes so many actions to deal with it that those actions would be better spent ending this scenario.
yes.
I think.
Yeah. Agreed. And maybe it's a scenario where you're like pulling your get over here so you can pull an enemy in and do that, but I haven't really.
Not righteous hunt in this regard.
Yes. Answering my earlier question, get over here far better than righteous hunt.
Wrong just hunt. More like it. Yeah, I think something like get over here, because then you can like thin that murder ball out a bit before like your partner goes into it, and
Yeah.
Or again, put a dynamite on your stick to the plan.
Yeah, or just dynamite. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
solves a lot of
There
You
was
only need it
ever a
once per
scenario
scenario.
that called for it.
Yeah.
For real.
And then once you're hopefully successful, we get to the resolutions. And this is one of those scenarios where kindly it doesn't really give you an extra penalty for failing, other than, the trauma that you get for failing. But in terms of like campaign implications, you're not really getting any bad notes that you have to add to your log. You do miss out on the bonus XP that you get if you're successful, though. So that's another kind of carrot. You get 2 extra XP if you make it to the cars. And then the resolutions are pretty straightforward, nothing really tricky there. You get your XP, but the big thing is that you don't get to spend your XP yet. So don't be like me with my initial face check campaign, where I totally glossed over that and spent my XP before Devil Reef, because you're not supposed to.
Dude, I think we're going to need like a flowchart guide at the end of this campaign for me to actually understand it. I'm fairly certain every one of my campaigns has done it wrong at some point.
I'm just going to need like a line with 8 boxes on it, and then like little circles where I can spend XP. Yeah.
Yep. The spreadsheets will flow as we get closer to Iron.
Yes.
Do you think it throws the balance of the campaign that out of whack if you accidentally spend the experience a scenario early?
No. I don't think so.
I can't imagine it does. I can't imagine that Like, think of how meticulously you'd have to go through to balance these scenarios. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. I mean,
I feel like until Devil Reef, they're not like very XP rich to begin with.
Sure.
So like I find myself like topping out at like 5-6 experience for most of these until you hit Devil Reef.
I tend to be a player who like beats myself up if I make a mistake about it, but I think what made me feel better is that Trish got absolutely savaged in Devil Reef even with the extra XP. So I'm like, well, did it make a difference?
see, and
That's a very, very odd thing to have you feel better.
See, and I wasn't the opposite, but I like my Mary Mateo run. I didn't spend any XP until I got to Devil Reef, and I was like, wait a minute, I think this can't be right. And I went back and read. I'm like, oh no, there was like 2 other spots when I could have bought stuff. So I did spend it going into Devil Reef because I was like, I gotta make up for all the shit I missed.
So, any final thoughts on In Too Deep? How'd you like this one?
It's fun.
Yeah, I like this one more than I expected to. For a scenario with a static map, with a static setup, aside from the black key.
Yeah.
Just like I mentioned earlier, with how it requires you to address the barriers based on what resources you have available to you, based on your deck and your situation, what's happened to you so far, it offers you a lot of very interesting choices as to how you actually get through to the end. And I honestly have not had 2 playthroughs that have felt the same so far.
Right.
Nick, on a scale from 1 to 15 locations, how do you feel about this scenario?
Ooh, 15.
15 out of 15?
Yeah, 15 locations.
Good.
I give this scenario 15. I give it 1. I don't have a good follow-up. I really built that up, and then I just kind of let it go flat.
Yeah.
I like this because it is a big map. It's a lot of fun. Sean, you know, like you talk about it, it is a static map. There's no variance to it, but I think that's fine, especially because this isn't one where you need to hit every location, and it's one where you're going to be moving fast anyways, so static is kind of good in that regard, because then you get to learn where stuff is and how to maneuver through it. This is one that really, like, you... I'm sorry, you just ruined my train of thought. On a scale of
You finished your joke
15
for you.
locations to 1 council coffer. Yeah, I give it a 1 wild icon. No, it's just like you really benefit on later playthroughs and knowing the map and understanding which locations are like key locations and which ones literally even. So I really like this one. It's fun.
It's gonna make it interesting for Iron Man to since it is a static map, to like chart the optimal path through and know exactly which victory we want to get.
But see, even then, like the optimal path through this game with the encounter cards it throws at you, like the path you're going to take, I think changes, right? Because it's going to throw barriers here and there, and it's going to drag people back. And then how big does the murder ball get? Does the murder ball even form? Like just all...
And where's the black key?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like there's just so many things you can't plan for. I think there will be extensive plan. Like you can extensively plan for this scenario, but there's so much variability within it that the map to me doesn't feel static, even though it is, if that makes sense. Like the connections don't feel static.
Sure.
Because of how it can change.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Scott, too. Like, I really like this scenario. It's another really solid scenario in the campaign. And I like these kind of scenarios where you're planning out an optimal path, but if it was just a matter of that, it would get boring. But the strength of Arkham is it's one of those things where no plans survive contact with the encounter deck. And so no matter how great your plan, you still have to think on your feet and adjust your plans because of what gets thrown at you. So that's why I see this as one that I can be excited to play each time. And I will get that 7th key one day.
One day.
One day. All right, that's In Too Deep.
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Good scenario. Like I know I'm getting ahead of where we're actually at in reviewing, but like all the scenarios in this campaign so far are just bangers. Like really, really digging it.
Not a bad one yet.
I mean, Pit of Despair is
Well,
it's you kind of start off.
but you front load it.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is that at least. All right, boys, we're running a little long, so let's keep it up for a neat and clean tentacle time. Nick, what's been grabbing you?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna plug Rime of the Frost Maiden. I almost said Rime of the Salt Maiden. What the hell is that? Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Sean's not playing.
Sean's not there. Our resident Frost Maiden is gone. Oh, Salt. God, I'm tired. I keep getting my own jokes. I'm getting messed up. Well, Rime of the Frost Maiden stream every Tuesday except for this next Tuesday. I will be on vacation, so we're not playing this next Tuesday. That's actually what's been eating up my time is my family and I will be on vacation for a week in Montana. So we're literally leaving tomorrow morning. Like, I took a couple hours off of packing and preparing to do this episode. So that'll be fun. We're actually going to be in your time zone, Scott, and we're also going to be really, really close to the Canadian border.
Yeah, Montana is a popular vacation spot for Canadians around me.
Sure.
For like hunting and like mountain camping and yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, is that where Canadians go for their beach vacation?
Yeah. When the winter gets cold, we go to Montana to warm up.
So until we resume, because we're getting into the final stretch of Rime of the Frost Maiden, you should go and check out the videos on YouTube, on my channel on there, and then Tuesday after next, which I forget the date now, 23rd? Yeah, 23rd. We will be back for episode, I think, 27 of Rime of the Frost Maiden, which is we're probably in like the last 10 or fewer episodes or sessions at this point. So, and things are really ramping up. So, that's about it. That's about all I got.
Cool. Ian, how about you?
Yeah, Rime of the Frost Maiden has been a lot of fun, and Nick almost killed our beloved MJ's character last session.
I didn't do anything. I didn't kill it.
For my part, the main thing that's been taking up my time, well, one, I won't talk too much about it because I would want it to be a longer discussion, but WandaVision, finished that. That was great. Loved it. And then I've been playing Star Trek Alliance, which is okay, so there's Star Trek Attack Wing, which was basically WizKids taking the X-Wing system from FFG and applying it to Star Trek. So that ran for a while and kind of died out, but now they came out with a co-op version called Star Trek Alliance, which is basically a way to use that kind of X-Wing Attack Wing system, but playing it solo or cooperative with like an automated AI. And I was curious how it would work, and it works really well. Kind of gives you some realistic movement from the AI, and it has a campaign, so you can level up your crew over time. So yeah, there's 6 scenarios in the campaign, and I'm on the last. I need to play the last one, but when I haven't been playing Arkham, I've been playing Alliance. So if you like Star Trek, if you like kind of tactical spaceship combat, I recommend it.
Nice. Scott, how about you? I know it's your
Yeah, not surprising anyone of the Mythos Busters. I have gone way back down the rabbit hole of Star Wars CCG, which is
You've entered hyperspace at this point.
Yeah, the card game from Decipher from 1995. It's fantastic. If you want to talk to me about it, at me anytime. I will gladly
He'll
discuss
probably be
it.
building decks.
I probably will be, or reading articles or something. It's a game that I've had since I was a small child. It was my first card game, and I still think it is possibly the best card game ever. I know I'm saying this on an art, but like it just
Take off them rose-colored
so
glasses
good.
there, Scott.
No, it's still just everything you can do. It's just oh god, I love that game.
I mean, it is the best card game with a 180-page rule book that exists.
Well, it's only 172.
It is.
All right.
It is my favorite Star Wars card game. Like, hands down, it is the most fun I've had playing a Star Wars card game. But yeah, it's a beast.
It's definitely my favorite competitive card game.
Sure.
Like 1v1, absolutely by far and away my favorite. And I won't go as far to say it's like the best design or anything, because I think you could argue over that for days. But oh god, I love that card game. And I've been catching up on the Marvel Cinematic Universe too.
Sure.
I like folding laundry. And I'm at my next one is Thor Ragnarok, which I've heard nothing but good things about. So
Oh, Scott, speaking of Star Wars, Thor Ragnarok is one of the best Star Wars movies that's been made in the last decade.
That's very true.
You're not wrong.
That's very true.
You're not wrong.
how many X-wings
so
does it have?
At least 2.
2.
Oh, well,
Yes, Nick!
I'm really interested. in
Solid,
seeing how that
unplanned coordination there. I love it.
works. Oh god.
Ragnarok remains my favorite movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's kind of offbeat. Like, I guess, like if you're really into like the continuity of everything, you could argue against it. But as just an entity of a movie, Ragnarok is so freaking good.
My wife said the same. It's her second favorite after Winter Soldier.
Yeah. See,
Winter
I'm
Soldier's
still a
also
Winter
very,
Soldier.
very good. Your wife has good taste.
yeah, that's my
Yeah,
top.
Ragnarok is in my top 3. It's Black Panther, Ragnarok, Infinity War for me.
I'm not going to argue with any
All
of
good
those.
choices. And then for my part, I had to have fallen a little bit back into the Star Wars CCG rabbit hole. Luckily, the last time I pulled my cards out, I made a bunch of dual decks. So that way, the next time I pulled my cards out, they'd all be like ready to like interact with each other. I wouldn't have any decisions to make, which mostly works, except that the Jedi testing deck I built is terrible. So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out something for my Bring Him Before Me, turning Luke to the dark side deck to play against. And then as well, I got a new PC. Like, I haven't talked about this yet, but I have upgraded my entire setup for it was primarily for podcasting and streaming purposes, but I downloaded a few games too. And I think the biggest one that I want to mention as a game I've been putting time into is God, what do I want to do? This is terrible because the game is like 15 years old, but the first thing I did was download Jade Empire.
Yeah!
Of course you did.
Yep.
Not terrible at all.
Well, because I haven't had a chance to play it in like 15 years. But the funny thing is like when you just straight up download it from Steam, on most computers nowadays, it's not going to run. But if you go to the forums, there's a very, very easy and weird fix that I can't believe isn't just implemented somehow. But you basically set up like a dummy XML file for something to bounce off of. You literally just create a text file with the right XML like file name, and the game just starts up instead of failing. It's like the stupidest thing that should have already been fixed, but it wasn't. Anyway, got it fired up. It's fun. The combat system in Jade Empire has not aged as well as I would have hoped, but the world itself is still really fun, and that's what I'm there for. And then on top of that, Sea of Thieves is the second game that the actual newish game that I bought on PC. So it's an open world, first person pirate game where you go around with a crew and find treasure and, ransack other ships. And I'm not very far into it. I think I've got like 12 hours in, but enjoying it so far. Enjoying it.
I was going to ask, are you playing Sea of Thieves with anybody?
Yes. So I have actually reconnected with my other good friend, Nick. Who happens to be playing, and he's kind of showed me the ropes, and I've hopped in with him a few times. It's fun with 2 people. If we could get like a party of 4 going, I can imagine like it would just be a riot.
Well, here's the thing. You
Go
have
on.
it now, and probably about a year ago, our mutual friend Kip was like, hey, we should get this and I'll play it together. And nobody jumped on the gun back then. But if we can get you, me, and Kip, and maybe Nick too, like I could see myself enjoying it then.
I'll play Sea of Thieves.
All right. Well, okay.
all right.
I'm gonna get it right now then.
Okay.
Fantastic. That is so exciting.
Does it have cross-platform play?
I believe it is between Xbox and PC, yes. But don't
Okay.
buy it before you double check for yourself.
Okay, Nick, don't buy it till I double check.
Wait, why can you not play it on PC?
Maybe we can figure this
You'll
out
be
later.
able to soon.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Anyway.
I'm just gonna add it to my list.
So it completely exacerbates my thalassophobia. In fact, in the opening mission, it goes out of its way to show you, like, hey, there's a bunch of sea monsters that are gonna fuck your shit up. Enjoy that. but it's fun enough that I'm quite enjoying it. So anyway, Sea of Thieves, really fun.
Nice.
And I'll look forward to talking about Tentacle Time next time when we've all played it together. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this jam-packed Return to Form, episode 101. We will see you guys for episode 102. Bye!
Bye.
See ya.